Hello, everyone. I think we are live streaming right now. My name is Patricia Starate Perez, and I'm the Executive Director of the Panama Jazz Festival. And I'm here to talk with Panamanian pianist Danilo Perez. We're going to talk about many, many things related to jazz. And first of all, we would like to thank Alternative Venues for Jazz and Gail Boyd for providing this opportunity to connect with you, the audience. Um, well, there is a record coming out, Danilo, that I'm very excited about on March 18th on Mac Avenue Records. The record Chrysalida is coming, and Chrysalida is a space where we all come together, where we address many different issues, social issues like immigration issues, climate change, environmental justice, science, interconnecting different art forms. I mean, there's so much in this CD. I wonder, like, where where is this coming from? Like, what are we gonna do with this? I mean, how did you come up? How did this happen? This record.
Thank you, Patricia. We're living in a very challenging times right now, and I think it's a natural protection and of using art to reimagine a new world. Many artists create these cities or mystical places where we reimagine a new society. Salida is that for me. I visualize a protected multicultural platform where we are reborn as human beings, as you mentioned, through the interconnection of music with other arts. We are creating a space where we can address issues, as you said, immigration, climate change, environmental justice, and social justice. But also, if you look around right now, peace is a very crucial one. For me, Chrysalida is a protected stage of development. I remember this vacation we had in Volcán Osorno in Chile, and experiencing that visual. When we got really high, I saw the world like limitless, no borderless, no boundaries. I mean, no borders, and that experience started the theme. That's how I felt about when I experienced the earth from that altitude, and this inspired everything that Chrysalida brought to the table. That we are living in a period of transition, that we have to decide which way we have to go, that what's going to happen with our own clarity and actions. We have no answers for sure. There's no definition. However, we must unite to achieve collective freedom with justice for all. Changes do we have to make in this time of chrysalis? We believe that music has the power to protect us during this earliest stage of development, project positive vibration to the crystal walls. That's how I believe Chrysalida means to me.
Yes, wow, that's very interesting. We have JP who's saying hello from Missouri. Say hi, Danilo, to JP, and Eugene Foley who's also saying hi and loving the record. So the record is out March 18 again, and you have so many incredible musicians that I love because they were also our students and my students at Berklee College of Music, and these are accomplished musicians from all over the world. Tarek on percussion, Vasilis on lauto from Greece, Tarek from Palestine, Laith in violin and vocals from Jordan, Nassim from Palestine, Faraji from the United States, Roman Diaz from Cuba, Faris, another ney flute player from Palestine, Eirini from Greece, the children choir of Kalesma of the Ark of the World from Greece. I mean, there's so many very different players, but they're all connected to the Middle Eastern sound, the Eastern Europe sounds, the sound from the other side of the Atlantic, and it's such a great, it was such a great pleasure also to work with them, because I provided the spoken word for the CD, but also to have all these new sounds, and I wonder about the sounds, like the specific sounds, the music, the harmonies that were, how that translate into actual music. How does, the everything that you talked about, um, being, emotional about, helping humanity. How can translate that to music? How can we, translate that to harmony, to scales, to the use of musical elements from other cultures, especially from the cultures that are being represented here in this Chrysalida album?
Yeah, thank you for that question, Patricia. And also, you participated, a big contribution to the record with a rap too. So don't forget that. I would say that since I was a kid, I visualized, I always was in tune with the geographical position of Panama. And since I was a kid, I watched how a humble, very small bridge of the Americas was able to unite the whole Americas. How a Panama Canal was a vehicle to connect the whole world. And I always thought about what the soundtrack of that was like. What music was that? What is the sound of that? And that has been my quest since I came to United States. Uh, Really connecting and interconnecting all these experiences. So one of my desires is to continue the lessons I learned from the great Dizzy Gillespie. He taught me that music was a powerful tool for diplomacy, for cultural exchange, intercultural dialogue. That was one of the greatest lessons I got from the Dizzy Gillespie. So during my years as a founder and artistic director of the Berkeley Global Jazz Institute, I have had the honor of mentoring very talented artists from all over the world. That was the place where this idea started cooking, the idea to form this project, the Global Messengers. They all graduates of the BGJI Global Jazz Master Program. And I believe, and I'm very conscious of, they are all like-minded artists who believe very much that music is is for the betterment of humanity. I have set up an initial encounter where I didn't bring any music. Everybody was free to improvise. And after a year of jamming, to learn to create a space, to listen to each other, and not have any impositions about it, to let every part of their heritage come through and be free to explore the foundations of what jazz were built on it. After a year, I started writing music for them. Duke Ellington was a big influence in that regard. And with their contributions, with their cultural heritage, I was able to create music that has that intercultural dialogue power to it. They were free. I use the concept that I teach at the Global Jazz Institute, which is tetrachords, which is the component, like you have a scale, da da da, do re mi fa sol la si do, and you separate them, and you get do re mi fa, and then you get the other one, sol la si do. Both of them are tetrachords. So I use the component. I only experiment with 4 notes, more minimalistic, and then that allowed for some conversation to happen at an ancestral level. And that's what I was looking for, because we are living at times where we have to come together. We have to find ways, and I believe that that's the way we'll find new sounds too.
And we have Lynn Houston from San Francisco Bay Area. Hello, San Francisco. And Rusty from Hassan from DC. Hi,
Yeah.
Rusty, a long time. Ben Budi on jazz, and Destiny Muhammad are also here with us. So hello to everyone. And just continuing the conversation on the new album Chrysalida that is actually out in a few days, March 18 on Mac Avenue Records. Um, we're always talking, and we teach at the Global Jazz Institute, and everywhere that you go, you talk about interconnected learning, interconnectivity between jazz and everything else, and the arts, and interconnectivity between disciplines, and interconnecting jazz with everything that has to do with life in general. So I wonder about the artwork which was done by Olga Sinclair, this very important, perhaps one of the most important Panamanian painters right now, artists, and the photographer Tito Herrera from Panama too. So everything comes from Panama to the world. But I wonder about Olga and Tito, how they approach that creative process, and what were some of the things that connected connected Chrysalida to these great artists that are Olga Sinclair and Tito Herrera.
That's a great point. I think one of the major experiences in my life with the great Steve Lacy, saxophonist soprano, um, he actually helped me to connect this experience of creating music to the narrative of painting, for example. And I never forget that experience when we were playing a piece at an old club in New York. It doesn't exist anymore. The Sweet Rhythms. It was called Sweet Basil, and it was changed to Sweet Rhythms. I remember what time we were playing a piece of his, and I didn't seem to be grasping what he wanted. So the next day, he invited me to go to the Marlborough Museum, and he had me looking at this painting for hours, 5 hours, and asking me a question if I saw the essence of that painting and if I could describe it. And I said, no, I don't know. He said, do you see the oriental theme on that painting? I said, no, I don't see it. So we kept walking. And right before we were leaving, I turned around and I saw it. And then he said, that's what I'm talking about. Can we play like this tonight? And then we went to the club, we played the concert, and I play with the painting in my head. I was visualizing that painting, and I remember getting lost on sounds and taking a lot of chances and improvising. And after we finished in the table, he came and said, Danilo, we were painting, we were coloring. I love those colors you were using. So I will never forget that experience. And one of the things as a foundation, when we started the curriculum at Global, I wanted to create a certain kind of connection for the students to start making, to start living those experiences as I had them. And this record, I thought it was the right outlet to present in all different kind of art form the topics that we are presented with, the challenge we are presented with, and the what we believe we must do as a community to come together from different perspectives to enhance the human experience, to amplify the coherence statement of community, and to amplify all these topics that we need to talk about, social justice and racism and disparity in the world. I think building a community that brings all these powerful experience, like Olga, I sent the music to her and I said, do you have a musical answer to this, a painting answer to this? And she sent me this incredible cover. And the same thing for Tito. Everybody from the perspective answering the call that we must come together, that we are living urgent times. That's what, at the end, what was meaningful to me.
And I guess it also Olga and Tito connect to you so well because you guys come from the same place, Panama. And
Exactly.
Panama, yeah, and Panama is such a, such a diverse, multicultural, cosmopolitan space, geographical space that has been, pretty much the bridge of the Americas. And that brings me to the Panama Jazz Festival, how jazz has been a bridge, how the Panama Jazz Festival has been a bridge for jazz. Now, not only for the best artists of the world to have contact and to come to Panama and be here in Latin America every year. For 20 years, we're actually turning 20 years old. Next January 2023, the Panama Jazz Festival turns 20 years old. We have become
Wow.
the most, the biggest tourist attraction of Panama and one of the most cultural relevant events because we have so many things happen. And, we're so happy that we're celebrating actually for the entire year. We're doing one event per month for the next 10 years because the Panama Jazz Festival, I would say Danilo is kind of our first baby. It's kind when we had children, like this was kind of, we have four children. We have three children plus the Panama Jazz Festival. So it's kind of our first child. I mean, it felt like, it feels every year like I'm pregnant, I'm 9 months pregnant, and now we're going to deliver, the baby every January. So I wonder, how are we going to celebrate all these 20 years of work, and how, what is the difference? I know the difference has been for me incredible, from the very first festival where I was a volunteer and I was, doing very basic things like, bringing water to the artists and translating clinics, from English to Spanish and helping, just do very basic things to actually directing the entire big, huge festival. So it's been a big difference. And I don't know how, what is the difference between you in 2003 and you in 2023 after we've been having all these babies for 20 years.
I always say, Patricia, that every gray hair I earn it going up these stairs, knocking at the door. We're back. We're back. We're back. Every year has been a very challenging experience, but very rewarding. One of the greatest experiences we had this year was I had COVID right at the beginning of this year festival in January, and you got really sick. So that gave us the opportunity actually to test the system to see if our dreams of creating a platform where people can volunteer and can become professional, can grow in the experience. It gave us the test if they could actually do it without our presence, and I believe, as you would agree, that they actually didn't do a good job. They did a great job. They were able to carry on the festival without the two of us, and that's a major, major, major achievement, I believe. Is talking about sustainability, is talking about, in this regard, that we have been able to educate, celebrate, and acknowledge actually the contributions of Panamanian in jazz history. We have discovered many Panamanians that might have been, nobody knew about then. For example, Luis Russell, that he became the musical director of Louis Armstrong in the 20th and 30s. Pianist Sonny White, who recorded Strange Fruit with Billie Holiday in the 40s. Master drummer Billy Coban, who performed with Miles Davis. Randy Weston and Eric Dolphy. I have an interesting story about Randy Weston. When he came to the Panama Jazz Festival, he said to me, Danilo, wouldn't it be, my father was from Panama. Wouldn't it be incredible if I go to the register and I find my father's certificate? Can you take me there? And I was thinking, wait a minute, I don't know if that's gonna happen, but I took him, and actually he found the paper. So he took the paper back and he told Alex Blake, who is Panamanian, also his brother, the Blake family, Russell Blake, bass player too. He told him, now you guys, I am a part of the drive. I am from Panama. So that's how Randy Weston was defining himself lately before he say goodbye at the jazz standard. He came to say goodbye to us in a very profound night that we had together. So having to experience all experiencing this process, and also see how we have given a space to the word jazz to mean something different from the youth. It doesn't mean a style. It doesn't mean a genre. It means a creative process that has history and a social context. The festival is actually taken nowadays by the youth, and that's marvelous. I can tell you how much joy that brings to my life, and how happy I feel that we have achieved something very special for the next generation.
Yeah, and I've learned so much directing the Panama Jazz Festival because, well, I have to make it happen. So now, I always thought like, yeah, the relationship between Panama and the United States and Panamanian musicians and U.S. musicians. Yeah, yeah, I'm sure there is a relationship, but when actually you go into deep into research, wow, is striking. I mean, having Billy Coban, for example, retire here. Billy Coban is from Panama. Billy
Yeah,
Coban, he's here in Panama, right here in the same land that we are right now, and
yes,
he's having a great time in the city of Cologne, where he comes from, and coming back to his roots, and thinking about Eric Dolphy, who was also Panamanian. His father was Panamanian, and his family, he still has family here in Panama. It's just, mind blowing. So, I wonder about uh, all these amazing musicians that have come to the Panama Jazz Festival, including, of course, the Wayne Shorter Quartet, who have been incredibly important in all this development of the Panama Jazz Festival and the Berkeley Global Jazz Institute, all of our projects, because Wayne has been the person that has influenced us the most, and it's always Wayne and Carolina Shorter, in the back telling us, do it, do it, do it, do what you got to do. And John Paritucci, and Brian, and Sachi Paritucci, and Laura Blade, and all, this family that have been giving us all the support that we need to make all of this happen. And Herbie Hancock, who has been here, Chucho Valdez, who also donated our first piano for the foundation that we have here, a music school that we have, that works in music education all year long. And Joe Lovano and Ruben Blades, Ruben, who is actually a salsa star and work as a minister of tourism and help us every year. He made the mistake of making a commitment on TV that he was going to support us every year. Now he's like bounded to that commitment, and now he has to do his concert every year to help the Danilo Perez Foundation. And Randy Weston, Kenny Barron, Esperanza Spalding, Mike Stern, Liz Wright, Jack DeJohnette, Stanley Jordan, Billy Coban, Terlin Carrington, Rand Blake. I mean, Ellis Marsalis, so many people Danilo, that we have to say thank you for making these 20 years happen. I mean, I can't even explain how important is for us that.
Absolutely, Patricia, and not only the artists, like Jack DeJohnette donated the drums, but also my ex former manager Robin Thompson, Gail Boy, people from the top agents of the world. This has actually built a platform and a community. Is a dream to have created together a cultural, social, and educational platform of a change. I believe that when you have people from different countries, ages, social and educational status gather to create something special, to exchange idea, to create an interdisciplinary project of high quality, academic quality, as we have provided at the City of Knowledge, and also connect all this aspect of music actually with music therapy. That has created an opportunity for something magical to happen, which is, I believe, we open the possibility to create the first festival that has a law that protects the sustainability of what we have done. So I'm really grateful for all the support, and I'm really looking forward to you all get to hear the Chrysalida and also see you in all the live shows. Chrysalida on Mac Avenue Records, definitely. Um, we're really looking forward to perform. We're doing the whole circuit around. Please join us. Get your tickets early on, your CD, and we're going to be bringing on music, transformation, building community through music. Thank you, Patricia. Thank you, Gail, for this opportunity.
Yeah, and before we go, because we have to wrap up very soon, I want to say that our latest crazy project is the Global Jazz Club, which we're opening in Boston, Massachusetts, in a prime location, right on Boylston Street, in down the center of Boston, Massachusetts. It's going to be a wonderful club. We are opening the club next month, and we have a lot of people featured. We're featuring a lot of people from the Berkeley Global Jazz Institute, and hopefully a lot of women from the Berkeley Global Jazz Institute, because because we are committed to gender equality, all of the projects that we do. So come to Oakland, Danilo. Lynn is saying.
Yes,
Oakland.
we're going to be at the SF Jazz June 14, and then I think you're turning around. Actually, just to give you a little rundown, I'm going to be April 30th in Washington D.C. And then we're gonna be in Abu Dhabi, and we're gonna do a tour in Italy. Then we're coming back. We're going to SF Jazz, and then we go to New York. We are gonna be there, and also Boston is coming our way in June too. So please come and say hi, and hope to see you all around in our next tour, and also at the Panama Jazz Festival.